When we see a psychopath, we usually have certain questions in our minds. Why does this man behave like this? Is it entirely his own fault? Or is it the society he belongs to that turned him into such a person? And how is it that this psychopath is not noticed by the people around him? The book American Psycho, which was extremely controversial when it came out, and its adaptation criticized many issues, and even do it in a parody-like, mocking way. Among the issues it addresses are consumer culture, masculinity, and people's desire to be liked. These issues are better understood with the concepts of sociologist Jean Baudrillard, who has at least as controversial ideas as this work, and the subject of this video is the philosophy of the movie American Psycho. In this story set in the 80s, our main character, Patrick Bateman, is a wealthy, educated, and handsome man who works on Wall Street. At the same time, he is extremely well-groomed and belongs to what we can call the elite. It's easy to see that this man who brutally murders homeless people, co-workers he doesn't like, and girls around him has a troubled mind, but the people around him are no different from him in some ways, and they are too insensitive to realize that Patrick has mental health issues, and that's the first thing we need to focus on in this movie. And that's something that Patrick, and in fact almost all the characters in the movie, have: image obsession. From the very first minutes of the movie, we can see that Patrick is a very vain person who tries to impress others. His life consists of luxurious places, expensive clothes, and social gatherings. He focuses on how he looks from the outside, that is, his image, while doing every conceivable activity. When someone who has a suit that is more valuable than his suit appears, or when his colleagues' business cards look more aesthetically pleasing than his business cards, he goes into an intense jealousy crisis in such situations because his possessions must always be of higher quality, expensive and valuable than those around him. And here we need to focus on the fact that Patrick values his possessions so much. The fact that a person values his possessions so much and uses them to compete for status with other people is something that Baudrillard deals with in his concept of sign value. Let's take an item, for example. What makes this item valuable? According to the concept of sign value, the real value of an item is its prestige among people rather than its function or production quality. For example, let's imagine two t-shirts that are exact copies of each other, and let's assign a brand to them. And let's write this brand in a small way somewhere on the t-shirt. One of the t-shirts is H&M and the other is Louis Vuitton. Even if people know that these two t-shirts are exactly the same, the Louis Vuitton t-shirt will attract more attention than the other. Even if the H&M t-shirt has a better quality fabric, the situation will not change because Louis Vuitton's sign value, that is, its status and prestige among people, is higher than H&M. Thus, the name of that brand overrides the function or production quality of the t-shirt. Going back to the movie, we can see that Patrick and his environment fit very well with this concept. In particular, Patrick is constantly comparing his own image with the image of his colleagues and analyzing who has a higher signal value, who prefers items or brands that people notice.
He also has a penchant for Valentino suits and Oliver Peoples glasses. Marcus and I even go to the same barber, although I have a slightly better haircut.
But one of the best examples I can give from this movie is the famous business card scene, where his co-workers show their business cards and Patrick has a jealousy attack when he sees one better than his business card.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God. It even has a watermark.
But is it normal to attach so much meaning to a simple business card? After all, the function of a business card is very simple. It gives information about the role a person has in the company. Patrick's attachment of so much meaning to a simple business card, his overestimation of even small visual details on the business card, shows that he places too much importance on the concept of what we call sign value, that is, how he is seen by other people instead of the function of the things he owns. In fact, all these people, just like the business card they have, are people who are in good shape when we look at them from the outside, but they don't have much function in essence. We don't see these people working that much throughout the movie anyway. Patrick usually listens to music and thinks about the place he is going to in the evening, and his colleagues have a drink and gossip in the interludes. We can infer from this that the obsession with image that these people are in has detached them from reality and turned them into dysfunctional people.
There is an idea of a Patrick Bateman. some kind of abstraction. But there is no real me, only an entity, something illusory.
We can see that the last parts of the movie leave a question mark in the viewer's mind. Patrick confesses to his lawyer that he killed the character Paul, but his lawyer tells him that he met Paul a few days ago. In fact, throughout the story we see scenes that are disconnected from reality. For example, the fact that the officer who sees Patrick's bloody body bag never stops him, Patrick's skillful use of a gun against the police, or the fact that no one hears him when he starts the chainsaw in the corridor. When we take into account such events, we cannot help but ask the question whether all these events are actually a figment of Patrick's imagination. But the author of the book does not give a clear answer to the question of whether Patrick imagined these murders. He states that his aim is to create uncertainty and doubt in the reader, rather than to answer whether these events are real or not. The director of the film also says that the purpose of the scene with the lawyer is to leave the audience with an open-ended ending, instead of the idea that Patrick has it all in his head. The center of this story is not to question whether Patrick's actions are real or imagined. What this story wants to show us is not only that a psychopathic character like Patrick can exist comfortably in such a society, but also that the people around him are too desensitized to recognize this psychopath right next to them. Because in a world so detached from reality, where brands take precedence over human identity, even if a murderer openly confesses his crime,
This confession has meant nothing.